Time does not exist, at least not in the way that this physical way has taught us. You see, here on the channel, we have delved and constantly talked about how we are eternal beings, both in last week's video, but if you just went back to the beginning of the video, I am keen on reminding us that we are spiritual beings. And so what I mean by this is we're reminding and remembering and practicing and seeing how this plays into our reality. So it's understanding that on a simple level, for example, how our mind is able to see both past and future and feel them in our present reality. That is quite literally us operating outside of the linearity of the concept of time that we've been taught. And so as we choose to free ourselves, go through our chakras and awaken into higher consciousness, we can begin to awaken this power of our true being, to reconnect with spirit, to reconnect with the metaphysical parts of self. And this brings us to the basis of how we operate, which is not bound by space and time, which is not bound by time at all. And what I mean by this is how our minds can operate out of linearity by seeing the future and thinking of the past. That's like the simplest way. But as we dive into our spiritual essence and we heal and we awaken this energy within us, we can begin to tap in with those parts of our being that are not bound by this physical realm. And so that's where you get your things like deja vu, your psychic abilities, your clairaudience, and many more. And so I bring this up to set us up for the lore for today's video, which is returning back to our natural state by realigning ourselves with nature's cycle. And so before we get into this lore, all right, one, thank you for joining me here. All right. Looking to support. You watching the video, I know you're looking to support. So I'm not going to talk about the chakra course that I have that could help you, expand and awaken the energies within. But what I will talk about is the newsletter that I drop every Monday. Okay. Now for the elevated fam here, for right now, that's going to be our community space. I know a newsletter, how is that a community space? It's where you'll be able to interact with me the most. You'll be able to email me back or, shoot me a DM or whatever. Now, what is important about this is me and the homies, we was working on something, all right? And when we drop it, I'm only going to drop it and talk about it on the newsletter. So if you want to be, in the know, you got to be on a newsletter. So that's my lore for the support. And, like, subscribe, share this with your mom, your dad, your friends, because everybody deserves this information. So the lore for today is returning back to our natural cycle, okay? And understanding that time as we know it is but a indoctrinated view that's meant to keep us, in this linearity of this realm. And so what I mean by this is taking the look at the days of the week and, from 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. You are not the same person that you were last Friday. And so when you go through these weeks and these days and these times, you're changing, you're evolving on an energetic level, a spiritual level. But if you are unaware to it, all you see is just going through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, life. But what is happening is there are shifts that are going on energetically. And so from my studies and just, really at the basis how everything is connected is through this spiral, right? So it's understanding that what helped you shift your perspective or what helped you change from that version of you were Friday to that version of you that you are now, that version of you is still inside of you. And so the same way that you can access a memory from the past to see what helped you evolve and you are connected to that part of you from last Friday, you are also connected to that part of you that's in the future. And so it's when we start to, as I've stated, tap into that spiritual power, return back to our natural essence, we can begin to awaken these powers, glimpses of the future, and all the other ones that I've stated. If it's in your power set, we all come down, we're here at unique abilities. If it's in your power set, you go and awaken to it, right? But this is what I mean when I say time as we know it is not the same as what we've been believed to, but it's for me, it's like it's a spiral that is almost like a line that keeps us connected here in the present, but able to operate and experience the future, different realities, and past realities to help us to continue to evolve. And so this comes from connecting with those higher dimensions, connecting with our ancestors who have that outside perspective. And this is what I mean when I said versions of yourself, parts of yourself that are able to operate outside of time and space, which is your ancestors, your higher self. And that happens when you begin to awaken to your higher conscious states, because it's understanding that there are multiple aspects of self. And the way we return back to that is by learning about our natural state, about realigning with nature's cycles. And so this is one of the practices, what we're going to get into, that I use to really align myself, because at the core we're nature. We evolve, we grow, we decay, and we birth just like nature. And so that's what we're here for now. Okay, so what is nature cycles? How do we use them to realign, and how do we use them to tap back into our natural essence? And so the whole reason why I want to shoot this video, and really why I'm making this video, is because this is the thing that helps us understand where we are, both on a micro level in our healing journey, but on a macro level in our, collective cosmic journey. And so what I mean by this is understanding the four basic cycles of nature. You have your birth, your growth, your decay, and your winter, right? I said winter. I mean your death. But this gets me into my next connection, which is you have your spring, your summer, your fall, and your winter. And so, like, off the bat, I want to mention that New Year's is not in December. All right. And what I mean by this is just we have to really begin to understand the energetics. And this is a part of us returning back to our natural state, returning back to spirit, is understanding the energetics behind life. So this indoctrination has got us setting energetic seeds in winter. But for any person who has common sense, you know that for some crops, you're not looking to plant seeds in winter, because what winter is about, it's about retreating inward. It's about dissolving any blockages, any false beliefs, it's about retreating into that darkness. It's about dying to your old self, so that when spring comes around, you are now beginning to birth into a new self. So when they tell us that, the New Year's is in December, but we're still in winter, that doesn't energetically align with our natural essence, with us being connected to nature. And so this gets me into this can get into the lore of Gregorian calendar and the Cometicism, but we'll save that for another video. All right. But this gets me into how I view personally the January and February being the 11th and 12th month. All right. Now I just want to state, like, these are simply perspectives of the infinite that we are living in this realm. So I know there's people out there with different ideas, and feel free to drop them in the comments. I'd love to converse and explore deeper into these topics. And so this gets me into how March is really the beginning of the new year. And why is that? Is because that is what energetically aligns with our natural cycle, right? With nature's cycle, with ourselves, with our inner. And so spring is all about birth. Spring is all about renewal. It's when the flowers start to blossom and things like that. And so energetically, we're coming off that winter where we were in pure darkness and death and dying to our old self, so that when spring came around, we're now ready to evolve. We're now ready to blossom and alive in ourselves from what we were just in. And so then after spring comes summer, and that's growth. I feel like we don't even need to, speak too deeply about that, because I feel like we've all experienced summer. It's just that essence of just, evolving and growing and experiencing the bliss of life and things like that. And summer is just about, taking everything that's happened, through winter and spring, going back to how we can access the past to help us propel us, forward. How we can if we understand the past, meaning our lineage and things like that, we can use those tools and wisdoms and knowledge to propel us forward, to see the future, to project the future. And so in summer, we're just using everything we've learned and growing and evolving. And then comes into fall, which this is the time that I'm making the video right now. And so for fall, for me personally, it's right now what I'm feeling is almost like summer was like we're on a race, we're speeding, we're having fun, and then fall is kind of like that slow down. We kind of start noticing certain things. We kind of like we're still expanding, we're still, feeling, but I feel like it's kind of that slow down. And this gets me back to the spiral I mentioned. And what I really mean by this spiral is that, you know, it's all as we go through these days, it's not just a linear, Monday through Friday, but it's a spiral that is expanding and contracting. And on a nature level, you know, it's that spiral is starting to contract as we get closer and closer to winter. And you can see this in your life because life moves in waves. And so when we are, in that energy of fall and we're starting to slow down and move into winter, I view it as the energy is kind of slowing down, maybe getting a bit, I don't want to say dense, but maybe getting a bit more potent, so that we are starting to recognize certain things. And so that spiral that's, contracting, it's bringing us inward into self, right? And so it's through that contraction, right? Both the darkness and light have a purpose, both the expansion and the contracting have a purpose. It's through that era of contracting as we slow down into fall, right? And move into winter, that we can start to see certain things that help us relinquish. And when that expansion energy comes back, we're ready to expand in our fullest embodiment. And so for me, fall, I feel like it's just kind of like not limbo, but a place where we're starting to slow down, a place where we're starting to, see certain patterns or see certain things fall, so that we can, continue to prepare ourselves for winter, but also recognize things about self that helps us realign with our natural essence. And so after fall goes back into winter. And so this gets me to the thing about, Monday through Friday. Like, although we go through similar cycles and they repeat, like I said, it's a spiral of contracting and expanding. So even though we've been through multiple cycles, each cycle we're not the same. And it's because each time when we give ourselves that chance to really align with nature's cycle, we begin to harness the energy of nature and really use it to help us heal, really use it to help us see what's going on inward, so that when we start to move back into that expansion energy, that we can fully embody a new version of self. So that each time these cycles happen, whether it's Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m., or an entire nature cycle, we're a new person. We're evolved. And so this is what I mean when I say, why I titled this video, how aligning with Nate, how true alignment happens when you align with nature's cycle, something like that. And this is what I mean is because we've been indoctrinated to see, life from this linear standpoint, and it's got us believing in certain holidays and certain things that keep us out of alignment with nature's cycles. So when we align ourselves with nature's cycles, it can help us tap in with our truer essence. It can help us tap in with what we've always been, which is nature. And so by doing that, it can help us recognize that, okay, I'm feeling this energy. I'm recognizing that it's this time of season. So I'm seeing that this is not just by coincidence that I'm feeling this, but it has a purpose. And so when we allow ourselves to really be in where we're at, accepting where we're at, understanding the energetics behind it, it allows space for healing, not to put us into mental torment or things like that, but it allows space for us to heal. It allows space for us to, call on our ancestors, call on the certain energies that are aligned with the season we're in to use to help us heal, right? And so, as I mentioned in multiple videos, I know we briefly cover various topics that align with the centered message in the video. So feel free, if you want me to expand on a topic, or any ideas or anything that you're looking to be aided with in your journey, feel free to leave it in the comments, and I'll be happy to expand on it in a video. And so this is on a micro level, how we can use the understanding of the energetics behind nature's cycle to help us heal, so that we can no longer be fighting against nature's cycle, but flow with nature's cycle, so that we can flow and reconnect back to our natural state of being. And so this gets me into, on a macro level, how we can use nature's cycle to understand what period of transition that we are in. And so, one, we are in fall, but also we've also begun the transition that is happening on November 19th, is where Pluto is going into Aquarius. And so that's going to mark a major transition. But as we've stated, we've been in this transition, I feel like, since maybe like late 2023. And this is why you've been seeing certain darkness, certain things arise, the chaos, the things in the foreign country. My heart goes out to them. The celebrity melodrama, like, you see what's happening is the old is dying. And so, relating it back to the micro, what happens when you are transitioning into a new self? What happens when you are trying to embody a new version of self? The old has to die. But for the old to rise, what must first happen is we have to realize what even is the old. What are the old programmings? What are the old things that kept us limited? And so, by understanding the cycle we are in right now, right, that transitioning into a new era, because that Aquarius is all about evolution, it's all about renewal and futurism and things like that. By understanding the cosmic collective shift that we are in right now, we can no longer allow the darkness that is being, brought to the surface right now. We won't let it distract us. We won't let it, bring us into suffering states, because we understand the purpose in it. And when I say that, it's not to disregard it, because it's still hurtful. It's still a part of us, the collective, going through this suffering. But as anybody knows, in their healing journey, there is suffering, there is pain. And so collectively, we have to go through this so that we can evolve, so that we can shift. But what is important is that we understand the energetics. We understand that it is a part of this collective ascension. And so from there, as we see this melodramaticness, as we see these poly tricks happen, we can see what we don't want to bring, and we can start to think of, how do I relinquish this, right? And like, for my people who are involved in their community, like, how do I bring sustainability? How do I bring light and love in a physical way that's going to help my community, evolve? And then, like, even if you're on your journey where you're on just, focusing on yourself, like, if I'm seeing this darkness rise within me, how do I let this go, right? And it comes from addressing it consciously and journaling about it, letting it go, practicing the meditations we spoke about in the video, awakening the chakras, link in bio, and just going through and realigning yourself and reconnecting yourself with your truest nature, which is spirit. And so that happens when we understand the energetics of where we're at cyclically in time. So while we are here in this physical, we may experience it linearly sometimes, but once we really embody our connection with our higher self and walk in that, we start to understand that I may be here physically, but there are aspects of me, and even me myself, right, that don't operate linearly. So I don't have to be confined by this linearity, but I can still play in this game. And that, for me, in my experience, happened once I truly understood the naturalness of my being, at which my being naturally operates, which is outside of space and time. And that connection with your higher self, with your ancestors embodied here in the physical, creates that power, creates that healing, creates that divine knowing that surpasses all physical understanding. So that is the power of aligning yourself with nature's cycles, and how you can see it play out, and how you're seeing it play out microly in your healing journey, but also how you're seeing it play out macroly in the collective cosmic journey, right? We're seeing it right now. The shift is happening. But do not fear. Have no fear, right? This divine yap gonna keep on going, and you gonna keep on going too. Peace to all. My name is Mark Anthony. Thank you so much for joining me here at the collective cosmic show. All right, elevated talk. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. Peace to all. Gratitude to the ancestors.